How's it going, everyone? Yosef back here with another video, and I hope you're having an amazing week so far. If you're new to the channel, my name is Yosef and I am a car enthusiast with 3 kids, and I happen to have sold cars before. So if you're interested in my perspective reviewing cars, please consider subscribing. All right, now on with the video. So when I was younger, my parents used to always tell me, you can't have your cake and eat it too. And it always got me thinking, I wonder how that applies to everything in life. And so to test that theory, I have a muffin and I have an Audi S5. Now I wanted to bring a cake, but you know, budget cuts. So I brought the next best thing. We've got a muffin. So I'm gonna take a bite of this and see if I can have my cake and eat it too. Let's see. That's a great muffin. But you know what? Now that I've taken a bite, I don't have a whole muffin left. So the only way to have my muffin and eat it too is to buy another one. But is it the same with a car? Let's find out. Okay, so I promise I'm not going to take a bite out of this S5 because it's too beautiful. But the idea is, can you buy a car that you don't have to give up on something to enjoy? And you know, just like with the muffin or with the cake, if you wanted to take a bite out of that cake, you're not going to have the full cake left. But if you take a bite out of it, you're enjoying it, but you don't have the rest of the cake left. And it's the same thing with cars. I find when you try to get a luxury car, you're always giving up on something. It's not going to be as sporty. And if you want to get a sporty car, you're going to give up on some of the luxury. So you're always giving up on something. But I think I found a car that you don't have to give up too much for to enjoy, and it has the full package. Now, I could have bought a BMW M440i, or I could have bought a Mercedes C43 AMG, or a Mustang GT, or a Camaro SS, but well, I have this one. I don't have those. So we're gonna use this, but to be honest with you, all joking aside, there are some really amazing things about this car that I think make it unique. And the great thing about it is you're not giving up so much to enjoy all the beautiful things about it. So today we're gonna find out more about this 2023 Audi S5 Technik that has a lot of really cool packages on it, and I hope you enjoy it. Are you ready? Let's go. So to kick things off, I really want to talk about the beautiful styling of this car, because I find that Audi does such an amazing job at the way the car looks. And the cool thing about it is, this is a performance car. It's got 349 horsepower and over 360 pound-feet of torque with an all-wheel drive system, and it's great. It's got a 3-liter V6, but if you look at it, it looks sort of subtle and subdued, and I love that about these cars. It's not in your face, and you've got the beautiful coupe shape. It looks like a performance car. It looks like a sports car, and you've got that beautiful styling. And if we come up to the car and take a look just at the headlights Audi is exceptional at making headlights. They do all this really nice design in here. You've got the daytime running lights, you've got these special LED headlights, and to me that just looks really aggressive but not overstyled. And I love the way they've done the grille. You've got the beautiful Audi rings over here, the S5 badge. This is probably the only thing that's a little annoying. I don't like the fact that they've got the cheap black plastic here, but other than that, they've done a really nice job with the grille, and you've got this little sort of lower splitter that's open up for aerodynamics. And even over here, you've got a section with some sensors. Now, it's a little black plasticky, which is unfortunate, and I know in the RS5, that stuff is a little bit more opened up, but it does look very cool. Now, if we take a look at the rims, again, a very nice style for the car, nothing too exciting, but if you notice behind the rims, you've got these really nice painted calipers and it says S5 on them. And that to me is always really cool. I love it when manufacturers add those little details that just make it look a little more sporty and exciting. And of course, you've got the S5 badging over here on the side of the car, and even the mirrors have a really nice aerodynamic shape, and you've got the LED turn signals. So overall, a really interesting and cool looking car. Now we're going to take a look at the back. So taking a look at the back of the Audi S5, I happen to really like the way that it looks. Again, it's not overstyled, but they've done a really nice job with the taillights, and you've got these beautiful lines cutting across, which they've done a really nice job of, and you've got an upgraded sports exhaust, which sounds amazing. We're going to listen to that in a moment. The only thing I wish they would have done to add a little bit more sporting credentials is take off this black plastic piece and make it a normal diffuser and a little bit more aggressive. That would have been so cool. But other than that, beautiful, very clean tail design of the car. And I promised you we're going to listen to those exhausts, and let's do that right now. Now moving to the inside of the S5, we're greeted with an absolutely beautiful door card. I mean, take a look at all the materials that we've got here. Some soft touch material up here, beautiful Alcantara. You've got this really nice metallic finish over here, a very nice aluminum door pull, and you see that aluminum extends a little bit further out. A little bit of gloss black plastic here, but you've got the memory seats over here and switch gear for the windows, and of course the mirror settings. Everything is physical buttons, which I really like. Some very nice stitching over here, and we've got a little tiny door pocket here. Unfortunately, we don't have the felt lining. And when you take a look at the Bang & Olufsen sound system, which is a beautiful, very nice sounding sound system, I wish we would have had a nice metallic speaker grille over there. Would have just added to the ambient sort of look of the door card. But other than that, really nice to see Bang & Olufsen in there. And you've got a lot of speakers built into the car. It looks absolutely beautiful. Now, if you notice over here on the door sill, you've got a really nice S badge. I love it when car companies do that. It just adds so much sportiness and makes the car feel a little bit more special getting into it. And even the pedal box are all aluminum. And I love the way they've also given you that aluminum feel on the dead pedal. A lot of car companies cheapen out on that, and they only give it to you for the gas and throttle, but not here with the Audi S5. Beautiful dead pedal as well. And the one thing that I absolutely love about this car are the seats. I mean, just look how beautiful they are. They are quilted with really nice leather, beautiful details, very nice bucket shaped design. They hold you in really nicely, and they look absolutely exquisite as well. And to me, that is one of the nice things that you just don't give up on when you get a car like this. You've got a nice luxury feeling appointment, and you also have a lot of very sporty credentials to it as well. And if you take a look, you've got all of the seat controls down there at the bottom of the seat. So again, you don't have to go into any menus just to sort of set up your seat. Everything is there for you. And you've got that little leg extender as well, which I absolutely love. That is just a little detail that adds so much to the comfort and driving position of the car. Now, sitting in the driver's seat of this 2023 Audi S5, you're greeted with a really beautiful steering wheel. It's a nice looking steering wheel. It's not too chunky, so a lot of people will find it very comfortable. I love what they've done with even the horn button over here looks really nice, and you've got some great physical buttons that feel really nice to click and press. I love that we have physical buttons still on this car. It's a relatively modern car, and they haven't done with all the touch sensitive nonsense in a lot of the other cars. And you've got a beautiful S5 logo over here, some very nice materials. It does look really nice, and the fact that you've got a path through here and there's not some cheap plastic covering that up, I really like. And you've got a beautiful digital gauge cluster surrounded by some really nice materials. If you take a look, the air vents are integrated very nicely over here. You've got some gloss black plastic, which is not too offensive, but you also have this really nice metallic sort of material going all the way across, and that just makes it look and feel so much more special. It's not just some cheap black or gray material. They've really split up the colors over here, and it looks very, very nice. The one thing that's a little odd to me is they've tacked on this screen for the infotainment. I wish they would have done something a little more creative with the design and integrating it into the flow of the dashboard here somehow, but well, beggars can't be choosers, but that's okay. It is a very nice screen, and I'll show that to you in a moment. But before I get there, I just wanted to comment on the fact that you've got some other physical buttons and dials over here for the climate controls, which is a very welcome thing. I hate having to go into the infotainment system just to adjust where the airflow is coming from and the air conditioning and the heating and all that stuff. And you've got these toggle switches that you use for that, which I find to be really cool and exciting to use. And even the air vents are integrated very nicely over here. Unlike the Mazda CX-50 hybrid that we took a look at before, you don't have one little vent and then the rest of it's sort of closed off. Here, everything is opened up, and it just flows really nicely, and it looks great. So overall, the interior, nothing too exciting. It is sort of minimalist. It's very German looking, very clean and organized, but I happen to really like it. It looks absolutely beautiful in my opinion. And looking down here, you've got some really nice cup holders. You've got some storage spots over here. Little bit of gloss black plastic, which is, well, it is what it is. But again, you've got that metallic finish over here, a proper chunky shift lever, which is really nice. The S logo, which is very cool. And if we take a look at the armrest and we lift it up, you've got a wireless charger over here with a little bit of storage. And the one great thing about this is a ratcheting armrest, so you can use it to figure out where you're most comfortable and set it just in that way. And it slides forwards and back, which is also really nice, so you can make sure that, again, you're super comfortable in your driving position when you're going for a drive. And that's not something you get on most cars, so well done Audi for that. Some other really cool touches, looking in the glove box, you've got a little pen holder over there, and you've got some coin holders as well. Just some small stuff with some business card space. So if you're going to a business meeting and you've got some tolls to have to go through, again, you've got a special spot there to hold all of your coins, your business cards, and a pen. And it's a very nice felt lined and well damped glove box, which is kind of neat. Now turning on the car, we'll take a look at this really nice gauge cluster and infotainment system. Now this is the Technik, so it's actually the top trim for the Audi S5. But it does still seem that we're missing out on a few things. One of them in particular is a heads-up display. But you've got a very nice configurable gauge cluster, and that's something that I really enjoy about the Volkswagen Audi products. You've got a lot of customizability over here, and you can choose what you want in the different screens. And you even have a map that you can throw in there, which is very cool, especially because we don't have, again, a heads-up display. And I love the fact that the gauge cluster is a really nice high-end looking and feeling display. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more, and you can see the black levels are really good. You've got a lot of contrast, and it's not super pixelated. It does look like a very nice screen, and something that you would expect from a car that cost brand new around $72,000. And even the infotainment system looks really nice. It's a touchscreen, of course, and again, the black levels are really nice. It's very responsive. You've got a lot of different options here. It's very intuitive to use, and again, that's something that you would expect from a car that costs this kind of money. And the nice thing about it is you've got a lot of adjustability. So you can choose, again, the different drive modes and how sporty you want everything to feel, from the suspension to the steering to that sports exhaust. You've got a lot of really cool things in there. And I did want to share just the camera system. And I'm going to put the car in reverse so you can get a sense for what that looks like. It's pretty good. It's nothing super exciting. You do get a lot of different views, which I really like. So if you click on this button over here, you can see it pulls up all the different views, and you've got different front views and side views and back views, and you get a 360 as well, which is very nice. You can't turn it around like we were able to do in some of the other cars that we've reviewed, but it is really nice that we have a 360 here. And again, you can choose how you want to set up the cameras at any point. So overall, very nice. The camera resolution is not amazing again, but it's nice that you've got a big screen that you can see all of those different angles on. Now, looking again over here, we have 3 zones of climate control, and I mentioned we've got these toggle switches, and it's very cool because if you just hover your finger over it, it tells you what these toggle switches do. So a lot of times you have something physically printed on those toggle switches, but in this case, it doesn't have anything there. They look blank, which looks very cool, but if you just put your finger over it, it shows you what you're going to adjust. And that is just some very cool attention to detail, and you can choose how you want to set up the climate control, even for the rear. Even though this is a very small sort of coupe design 4-passenger car, you've got your own separate climate controls back there. And again, it's very nice that you have the ability to control everything from up here. One other really cool feature that I wanted to mention about this car is you've got massage seats. Now, you don't get that in a lot of cars, and this is what's really cool about this. When you're driving along and you've had a stressful day and you want to just relax, instead of going to a spa and spending hundreds of dollars on a massage, you've got it right here, and you've got it on the driver and passenger seat, which is very cool. So you can choose the different type of intensity and the style of massage that you get, but very nice to see that type of a feature in a car like this. So well done, Audi. Just a couple of things before we go for our drive. You'll notice over here you've got a really nice rimless mirror, and you've got a compass in there too, built in, which is very cool. You also have a really nice console area up here with some buttons for your dome lights and for the sunroof, and it looks very nice. Everything feels very high quality and is built very, very well. And of course, we've got our beautiful sunroof up here. It's not a panoramic roof, but it is a nice size, kind of like an oversized regular sunroof for the car, and just fits it very nicely. Now, I did mention you've got some back seats in the car, and that's one of the nice things that we're not giving up on, being a coupe, sporty looking and designed car. And if we take a look in the back, we've got my buddy Mo back there who's sitting nice and comfortably. And check this out. We just pull this little loop and we can pull the seat forward, and that's my driving position. He's sitting there relatively comfortably. I would imagine that you wouldn't want to sit back there for long drives, but it is very nice that we have back seats. And that's one of the great things about this car. You're not giving up on so much. You even have your own rear climate controls back there with USB charging. You've got the same beautiful leather seats that we have in the front, the same materials, and you've got speakers back there, and you've got a really nice armrest back there, which we can pull down. And you'll see there's a little bit of storage back there, and you've got cup holders as well that are actually very well and cool engineered. And it's a nice place to be back there. You don't feel like you're stuck in a very cramped, small, sort of annoying back seat. Kind of nice that you have back seats so you can take your kids, go for a ride, and again, it could be a family vehicle that you use every day. Even though it's not a 4-door super practical car, you're still not giving up on that practicality in the back. All right, now moving to the cargo area of the S5. It's not power operated, but it's very easy to use. We take a look and are greeted with a very generously spaced trunk area. It's a lot of space in here. It goes very deep, and surprisingly so for a car of this size and class. And I really appreciate that. That again goes to the idea of having a practical, usable car every day that you can use for daily commutes, but doing groceries, taking kids to school. It is a very nice and usable back area. And we've got a lot of little tie downs over here that are metal, and they look really nice and premium. You also have these pull tabs that you can use to fold down the seats in the front. So if you wanted to do that, you have the ability of folding down the back seats, which is really nice. And again, you've got that pass through. So if you've got longer items that you need to stick in the back, you've got the ability to do that. A little netted area back here. Otherwise, not a whole lot in the trunk. Although I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised when we pull this up. You see, you've got a space saver spare tire, which you don't always get in a car of this class. So really nice on Audi for giving that to us. All right, now it's time to go for our drive. All right, it's time for our drive. Now, one last thing that I didn't really mention before when we were taking a look at the interior of the car is you've got this little arm that comes out that sort of feeds you the seatbelt, which is kind of cool. Once you tuck it in, you put on your seatbelt, it goes away. I'm going to show you that after, because I think that's a really cool and interesting feature, because in the M8, the BMW M8 video that I did a while back, they didn't have that, and the reach to get that seatbelt was so far, and it was a bit of a pain. Really nice to see that in the S5 we've got that. All right, now it's time for us to go for our drive, and there's a few things that I want to talk about just getting into this car, because first of all, again, it does feel very special. It's so nice to have the different materials. You've got a very sporty steering wheel. Everything feels and looks very nice and premium, and everything feels very tight and really well put together. And I think that's one of the things that Audi does exceptionally well. And going along with the sporty sort of special feeling, when you put the car in dynamic mode and you get in and you're ready to go for a drive, the seats start to hug you, the bolsters kind of hold you in place, you feel the lumbar support stiffen up, and it just feels really exciting. It's just, again, it gives you a sense of occasion, and you've got the sports exhaust going, so getting in this car and finding your driving position and enjoying sort of an exciting feeling experience is what you get. And you're also not giving up on all the sort of luxuriousness about the car, because you're sitting in these beautiful, very comfortable, plush, quilted leather seats. You've got, again, all of the luxury feeling things. You've got heated seats, you've got a heated steering wheel, you've got a Bang & Olufsen sound system, and you've got everything that you would normally want from a luxury experience. But you also have 349 horsepower, and you also have a sports exhaust, and you have all the other sporty things that come along with it. So, you know, that's one of the things that I find to be really interesting about this car, and why I gave us the analogy of having your cake and eating it too. You know, you've got usable back seats. You have a very expensive trunk. You've got all the luxury features. You've got all the sporty features. You've got a car that sort of does it all. And that is something that's very unique. You really don't find that in a lot of modern cars nowadays. And so I got to give a lot of credit to Audi for putting all of that together in this S5. Now, you can get a more powerful version. You've got the RS5, you can get a base model, you know, with less power, but I think this is the sweet spot, because you sometimes have too much power in a car that you can't really enjoy normal city driving. And I'm going to show you, when you get in this car and you put your foot down, you know, it's just the right amount of usable power that lets you enjoy it but not get into trouble. It's pretty quick, and it's just enough for what most people need. And again, to give you that balance between fun, excitement, having the luxury, but also being able to take your kids to school and, you know, get the groceries, it's probably hit the sweet spot. And you still have that beautiful coupe design. So again, you get a lot of really cool things here. And look at that, there's a Cybertruck driving beside us, which is kind of cool. So other than that, who is this car for? Well, I think this car is designed for somebody who wants a sports car, but also wants to have some back seats. So, you know, a Supra or something like that would be out of the question. You want to get into sort of the luxury brands, but, you know, BMW maybe has some features about it that you don't really like, or you want the all-wheel drive from the Audi Quattro system, and maybe Mercedes isn't your thing. You know, those are typically going to be your competition. You know, it's not very similar to, I don't know if you think of Mustang or Camaro. This is, you know, way above that league. I think this is something that will allow you to get into the luxury premium sort of cars and gives you that feel. But again, you're not spending so much money for this car that it's going to break the bank, and you're not giving up on a lot of the sporty credentials as well. So it gives you a good balance. And so people buying a car like this are going to really enjoy having a bit of everything in their car. The one interesting thing about the driving experience is you would think from a really sporty sort of looking and feeling car that you'd be bounced around with the suspension and the steering would be really heavy, but it just isn't. You know, this car does a really nice job of blending, again, the comfort with the sporty feeling. So, you know, you're not bouncing around too much. I find the suspension is tuned very, very nicely. I'm in the most sporty setting, even for the steering, and it's still relatively light, and it feels really great. And the visibility is great too. A lot of sporty cars, you're giving up on the visibility because they've got a really high shoulder line, and again, you've got a slope back roof. In this car, that's just not the case. You've got great visibility out of the front. You know, the pillars are nice and thin. You've got great visibility out of the sides and the back. It's a very practical, sporty car. And, you know, to be honest with you, it sort of hits that sweet spot. I've been in Mercedes and I've been in BMWs, and there's something unique and interesting about the way Audi's done things. And I really like it. And I think if I was looking for a car like this is a used car. It's held up very well. You know, there's nothing wrong with getting a car a couple years old, saving a few bucks, and, you know, looking very modern still. And I think over the BMW and the Mercedes, it doesn't do the luxury quite as nice as Mercedes, and I think BMW still does the sportiness just a little bit better. But if you want something in the middle of the road that balances both, I think this car does a beautiful job at that. And so overall, there's not much else to say about the driving experience other than the fact that it is really nice and comfortable, and I think is great for an all-rounder. And again, you still look pretty cool driving it. You do have the paddle shifters here, I'll just mention, but, you know, to be honest with you, they're very plasticky and kind of cheap feeling. I don't think people who buy this car are going to be using the paddle shifters all that often, but for the most part, again, it's a very usable and easy car to get along with. And because you have a lot of physical buttons and nice infotainment system, everything's integrated really well. It's easy to get along with, and you don't have to go hunting and trying to figure out where everything is. It's something that, you know, anybody can get into and enjoy very easily. And overall, I think it's a great car. The drawbacks probably are going to be the fact that you're not going to get the most modern feeling interior compared to potentially some of the competitors, but that's not an issue for me. I actually prefer the physical buttons over everything in the gauge cluster and infotainment system and touchscreen stuff, and I happen to like the balance that we have with this car. One last thing I'll mention about the driving experience, it's very quiet in here, and probably even more so than you would expect from a car of this class. And that's something that always surprises me with Volkswagen Audi products, is they do such a nice job at keeping the road noise to a minimum. I mean, we've got all-season tires on here, and you know, they're not the most sporty tires that probably would have come with a car like this, but it is really nice and it's very quiet. The sound deadening is, you know, phenomenally well done for a car like this, even though it's a sporty car. It's very smooth. The transmission is great. It really does a good job managing the power. The brake feel is also really great. You know, it doesn't feel super aggressive, even though it's got some very punchy brakes. I think they've done a really nice job to make this car, again, usable and easy to drive smooth and very comfortably. So for around $70,000 when it was new, I can understand why people paid for it. Again, you get a beautiful Bang & Olufsen sound system and a lot of nice materials. I think it definitely justified the price. So that's all I have to say for us today about the beautiful 2023 Audi S5 Technik with some beautiful packages and options. It's spec'd really, really nicely. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.